Dzień dobry Państwu, nazywam się Tomek Domagały, jestem sekretarzem prasowym Festiwalu Dialog-Wrocław i jak już Państwo pewnie zauważyli, również przygotowuję dla Państwa spotkania z cyklów dialogu, które zastępują tradycyjne spotkania pospektaklowe na Festiwalu Dialog-Wrocław. Dziś będziemy się pochylać nad spektaklem kroniki kompanii Peeping Tom, a jest ze mną jej twórczyni i znakomita reżyserka, tancerka, choreografka Gabriela Carrizo. Dzień dobry. Hello.
Hello.
Wedle dostępnych źródeł poznaliście się Państwo z współzałożycielem kompanii Peeping Tom, Franckiem Chartierem, pracując u Alaina Platela. Chciałem zapytać, co z tamtej pracy pamięta Pani najbardziej? Czy można powiedzieć, że Alain Platel w jakimś stopniu stał się ojcem chrzestnym Waszej drogi?
Okay, so we met with Frank Chartier, with Alain Platel, and it was a great experience. I think he provided this big trust in the studio, in the creation. He gave a lot of space to the dancer, to the interpreter, to really put what you want to put on stage. I think a bit in a way like Pina Bausch was working with the dancers, giving the possibility, and then you feel the responsibility to give. And I think from there it was really important for us with Frank, the desire to create our own language and to go on, with our work till we create Peeping Tom. So Alain, he was like a lot of maestros, were a big input in the starting of Peeping Tom, in the way of giving this trust. Yeah.
Założyliście Państwo Peeping Toma na przełomie lat 90. i 2000. Czym się wtedy kierowaliście? Jakie były Wasze artystyczne marzenia, cele?
After working with Alain Platel, there were a lot of, how to say, especially in Belgium, we found this. At that time, they called, the Flemish wave, in dance theater. It was very important this period. A lot of people creating and not fear to mix all these different art, like dance, theater, music, visual arts. We work also with Need Company, Jan Lauwers. So it was really, I don't know in English, a lot was happening there, in the small country. And so I think it was something then we discovered with Frank this desire. Okay, let's try thing, and it was, I don't say easy, but it was a kind of solidarity with the groups. It was easy to find places to work, people to help, and I think it was really awake at that moment, the theater field and dance, a lot was happening. And a good space to dream, of course, when a lot of things are happening, So, for example, the first piece we made, it was Frank has a caravan, mobilhome. So we said, let's do something with this mobilhome, and our first piece, Caravana, it was there, and we were dreaming.
Dopytam jeszcze, ale jakie były cele Wasze? Czy mieliście jakieś sprecyzowane cele?
At that time, you're young and you're wanted to create new things, is this. So this Caravana with Frank and other people who work with Alain Platel, we were in a park because we could not enter a studio with a camper, so, and we want just to create. after the second piece we made, it was it was a film. We start with a little film for Les Jardins, meeting people in a bar, and then meeting a bar, an African bar. We said, could be nice if we do it here, the film, and really this desire to create things without thinking already of the, we couldn't imagine after to really make this company and all what follow after. So sometimes now I miss this period of this freedom of just having dreams and creating, and things change. You have other things now, more experience, but also more expectation and more things to care, and yeah. But maybe I can add about your question. We were very interesting to go, is why Peeping Tom, to peep in the intimacy of people, to tell his stories, then goes really in the what is not visible, what certain taboos, or to dig really in the this kind of stories, very close to intimacy and human being.
Czym dzisiaj jest Peeping Tom? Jak postrzega Pani dzisiaj Waszą artystyczną drogę?
Yeah, it was a long path. This year we have 25 years of company, and for me it's a constant questioning what we are doing. Even if we arrive to to a language, let's say, where human is at the base, relation, the how we treat the space, in dance, maybe at that period to use big scenographies were not common, to put the audience in a universe already with the space. To use tools from cinema, in the editing, in the how to zoom in the characters, in the people, how to use sound. So all this, it was an universe very for us human and surrealist also, and very. I think it's very difficult to put yourself what is Peeping Tom today in a in a field, but what I can say, the way all these elements and the bodies and the theater and all this way how we link or how we connect it, maybe it's very personal from Peeping Tom. I don't know. For me, is always questioning what we are doing, the form, how to what else, what we can still do, what we can still do on stage today. Is always questioning questions. Yeah. No, what I wanted to say is from the beginning, the first piece, Le Salon, for example, Les Jardins, we already put these pieces in a context, in a scenography, and then they became big scenographies. And I think at that period in dance, in contemporary dance, it was a period also no dance, more abstract and blah, blah, blah. So I think it was something that very typical Peeping Tom to see these big scenographies, but to see the scenography, yeah.
Czy droga, którą przebywa tancerz, tancerka, stając się reżyserem, reżyserką, jest trudna? Jak to wygląda z Pani doświadczenia i perspektywy?
For me, it was easy because I danced till the 40s. It was very physical. So for me, it was good to stop and to. I like to observe. I like to be in the studio with other people, to observe, to feel the other side, you know. So yeah, it was easy.
Jak zdefiniowałaby Pani teatr, który dziś Państwo uprawiają?
It's difficult. I mean, it's connected with the question before. It's difficult to define something that you're making as. I think what I try to do is, or what we try with Peeping Tom is what we always try to invent new forms of perceptions, of questioning, of observing things, no, putting things in perspective. And so I think it's all this what we can people can experience. It's difficult to define which kind of, especially when we try to not to put borders in what we do. You know, it's not a dance, it's not theater, it's not what is, even when we create a show, is also what is this, you know. A bit the question then is coming now with Chronique, when the people see, it's like what we are seeing. So it's difficult to define which kind of theater. I think human is always the base, because we work with the body, we work with stories of these people, we work with the physicality, we work with humans. So and after the forms we create around, and what becomes is all about what I said before, questioning how we live, what is going on around us, what's going on. So yeah, it's more or less that.
Teatr generalnie bazuje na opowieści. W Waszych spektaklach jest podobnie, choć niezwykle istotna jest ich forma. Jak podchodzicie Państwo do relacji forma-treść? Czy któryś z tych elementów jest dla Was ważniejszy?
Yeah, it's true that we like, especially in the beginning with Frank, we always say to develop the story of the characters. In the beginning was the stories of this family, of this relation in storytelling. But we never follow these stories in a linear way, you know. We always play a lot with time, and we deconstruct this storytelling. And especially now with Chronique also, I even more, you know, deconstruct this. There is no storytelling, or what we can call the storytelling, but yeah. I think form and content for me is both, you know. I think the content is guiding you to the form, you know, and sometimes vice versa. But especially the material, first is the material, the content, and this is creating, you know, it's a kind of plasticity, it's creating a kind of form, and sometimes it's to discover a new form, or what, you know. So in a way, for me, I don't know now. I don't know if one is more important than the other. For me, is they are really connected, form and content. You know, because you try to create a new form of things, and so these contents are part of this form. Yeah, something like that.
Przeczytałem gdzieś, że stosujecie w swoich spektaklach filmowe techniki opowiadania, na przykład montaż albo zooming. Skąd się one wzięły i na czym one polegają?
Yeah, we love films, huh? We were very. I studied cinema also in Argentina. Also before I start dance, very short time. But with Frank, we always love films, and I don't know how they enter in the way of editing not the piece, and also as tools to create. We always wanted to, how it was a question how to come very close to a character. How, in cinema you can do that with the camera. You can come closer. Um, and so then we said, okay, maybe if we stretch time in certain moments, we can, have the impression to get closer. If we add, then the sound is present at that moment, stretch as well, and we can have the impression then this moment is a stretch, and we can, and with light and with, so how we use all these elements to perceive something in a different way. Of course, it's another language, it's not cinema, but certain tools, how to cut the space, or if we go inside the room, if we are outside and then in the landscape, and then we go inside the room, how the sound gonna also compress and go inside this room with the character. So all these things help us to, to feel it maybe a bit more, this cinema atmosphere, also with the sounds, especially sound in cinema is a lot. So I think in sound, um, in the atmospheres of the space, of the lights, of the set.
Wspomniałaś pani o tym, ale chciałem jeszcze dopytać, kim jest bohater waszych spektakli? Czy jest dzieckiem wymyślonego przez was świata, czy jego początkiem?
Yeah, we are. You're talking about Chronic, maybe the piece. We For me, it's a bit both thing. I'm always now in this Chronic is we are at the beginning or at the end of something. So this group of people. Here we are not talking so much about characters or family. No, it's a group of people, and they are, I think, traveling on time in different times. So they are always constructing something, but these things are dissolving at the same time. So I think they are in a liminal time space for me. Yeah.
Czy ciało tancerza to tylko narzędzie? Jak podchodzicie do ruchu?
I work with different physicalities. No, each dancer is he has his own physicality, experience, background. So they are dancers. They are not what we call professional dancers. For example, one is a painter and he paints one part of the scenography. So he's more a performer, but he moves in a way that I never saw. So, of course, it's a tool. It's a tool because it's a tool that has a power to create different things. More this body is able to, to transform, becomes a powerful tool. But yeah, I always work with them from the states of the physicality, connected to what they are doing, all the possibilities to create, yeah, uh, new ways for them to explore limits also of the physicality. Then the body, it seems no non-human also at the same time, so to work in these limits of the body's contortion, flexibility, a way to fall or to so how much a body can transform, can be a lot of things. um, But concretely in the studio, I give certain task and then they search around. We work a lot with improvisation, but of course, I guide, I select, but they bring their own, uh, movements, the physicality.
Początkiem waszych spektakli są zazwyczaj sytuacje realistyczne, które transformują się w różne inne światy. Podobnie jest w kronikach. W jaki sposób pojawił się na przykład tutaj ten bunkier, jaskinia?
Yeah, we can call bunker cave. I like this. I have to say then with Peeping Tom, always we start with the space where we gonna be, where we are, and then who are there, who, you know. The case of Chronique, it was again the concept of the space. What is this space? But I think is the first time is much more abstract. This space is a landscape where different elements, paintings, rocks, is an atelier, is a cave, is a. Didn't want to define exactly where we are because it was a space where we're going to travel through time. So I needed a space which can transform as well, or we can, much more open. I think the first desire was to work with time, this perception of time through, let's say, history. I don't know. Sometimes we are very far in one period and we go to the future and come back. So how we perceive time and how I can bring this group of people through this metamorphosis, this transformation. This was it's a bit the base, how we work. Yeah, to answer also your question, then sometimes start from something realistic and go somewhere else. A lot of time is also how somebody we can follow what this person is or experience even inside, how if he has fear or a vision, or it's like to put it in images also, these kind of things inside the person, if suddenly we can see a situation, but then we gonna this situation or this image gonna shift because it's like we are inside the head of the car of the person and we see what he is seeing, maybe it's an horrible vision, or what we see is his fear or his dream or his desire. So sometimes is why the things looks not maybe I don't understand, but it's because we change perspective of what somebody is feeling or is inside the head. So it's a bit this then the transformation we do,
Powiedziała już Pani trochę o czasie, no bo tytuł kroniki zwraca naszą uwagę właśnie na kwestię czasu również. I jest to rzeczywiście ważny element tego spektaklu. Czy to jest w ogóle ważny element całej Waszej twórczości?
Time is a bit my obsession, yeah. And I think it was really present in all the work of Peeping Tom, always, connected to the way of editing or how we approach cinema, but how yeah. So time, it was always very present in our research as deconstruct time to how is perception, how past and future, or the circles of time. And here, Chronique I think, is the most important because there is less and storytelling. There is less really characters or then we can. There is less. Still fresh for me to talk about Chronic. Yeah, I think it's time. I wanted to explore this time, perception of time, stretching in time, and using these elements, more historical elements. I went beyond these family stories, maybe couple love stories. I wanted to talk more about society, a group of people, and how this these people travel through this time, how they are confronted in these different times with violence, with a lot of things. Yeah, this question is not very, very clear. But yeah, concretely, time is something that we don't have a definition. We can have a lot of definition of time, but we don't continue not to grasp it, to understand, how time.
Gdy oglądałem wasz spektakl, nie mogłem się pozbyć uczucia, że w jakimś sensie opowiadacie również o wojnie, ale może to kwestia miejsca, w którym się znajduję, w Polsce, a raczej tego, co sobie dopowiadam. Jak to wygląda z waszej perspektywy?
Yeah, I think we cannot avoid this perspective, and it's something. Yeah, it's very present. This in Chronique, war, the conflict, the death, and I think when in the creation you let enter. I mean, you're talking about something very. When you're talking about perceptions in general of time, of people, of a group of people, and how this group of people function together, and what are they doing, that they construct things, they try to survive, they create things, and these things are deconstructed, and etc., etc. And then you feel it, how the world you are living, and we are all living, these things enter in the creation, and what is going on in Gaza. But in general, I think we are in periods very dark, then I feel it so how to say, impuissant, comme on dit sometimes. Yeah, So there is something in this creation that people not understanding thing, and trying to go on. So of course, all this is very present. Yeah. how these people, how the conflict start from different um, moments, and how violence arrive, is there in Chronic.
Na koniec chciałem zapytać panią, jak sobie wyobraża pani swojego widza?
How I imagine. I don't imagine the audience. I hope then the audience can let it go for an experience. And I think a performance is always this trying to go to this dialogue there in this room, and so we don't know what is going to happen with the audience, and the audience neither. So it's really this moment which is magic, is, let's hope there is magic there that day. Some days is it's always this in a live performance, it's always this, the difficulty to find this magic, and everything is there, this intensity, this production of intensity. But I think it's a performance not to, in a way, to try to understand. There is not a story we are telling, Is why I said it's not a storytelling. It's not talking about what happened with this beginning and end. No, it's more an experience, as when we read poetry, for example, we cannot explain, there is no things to maybe explain. Or so I consider my theater more as a poetry, maybe a dark poetry, but with beauty, with irony, with humor, with, so to and to feel things, and people question things, and people feel another way to see things, to hear things, and there are other ways to understand, and it's more about that. So I don't know how it will be with the audience, but I hope then people are open to that, not trying to see things how we are used to see, but then there are other ways to see. Yeah.
Okej, Peeping Tom znaczy podglądacze. To chciałem dopytać, czy publiczność na waszych spektaklach, czy na przykład na spektaklu Kroniki, nasza rola polega na podglądaniu, czy może jesteśmy bohaterami też tego świata, albo macie dla tej publiczności jakąś inną rolę?
But it's dependent project, because sometimes you can open this wall and to connect directly with the public. But in general, yeah, we always have this peep word, this weeklo, this thing. Then and I think for the audience, of course, they have to be really active in the, there is something of activate imagination, their own their visions and their feelings, and not to be afraid. A lot of time we have after talks, and we talk with the audience, and we realize then people want to be sure if that is what they felt or they saw is correct, and it's not about that, so yeah, I think is the feeling is more entering a word for the audience, or how you enter an unknown world, and a painting, how you enter in a painting, because sometimes for me the show I work like is if I was a painter.
I thought about it that sometimes the audience is just only an audience in the world of the show. But sometimes it is a part of the show, because we of course we have to conscious what role we play in your world. But sometimes we are only peeping guys who are sitting and, like in the camper, in caravana, that we have look inside. But sometimes we are heroes
Yeah,
partly of the
yeah,
show.
yeah.
So this was,
Yeah, it's true. It depends in which project or with in general. In the beginning, I think it was more this peeping, like, okay, there is a story in the family, in the camper, in the salon, and we are looking, through a door like this, and we are observing these people, this intimacy, Um, so yeah, it's not a clear question for Chronique how the audience is, but I think there is a bit of that also peeping this, but uh, from a lens. But yeah, I can. It's so fresh the piece, then I cannot answer already how the. It's interesting question to have feedback how the audience feel it in this performance, how much they feel it um, is a good question. And also now we are in Milano, we perform in Milano in a very small place. I think this show work very nice in a smaller place because we are much more connected. We perform in a big stage, and there you see in a completely different, you connect different. So yeah, we are testing that. So because you have the image and you see as a painting, but then you need to be close also to feel you are there in this space with them. So yeah, it's the beginning, and I think it's something we're gonna experience more and more how the audience feel, how it's a discovering for everybody now in this path, rediscovering with the audience. Yeah.
Proszę Państwa, więc teraz pani Gabriela Carrizo przerzuca piłeczkę do Was. Bardzo Was serdecznie zapraszam do komentowania. Jeśli ktoś widział spektakl, to może na te ostatnie pytania spróbować odpowiedzieć w komentarzach poniżej. Bardzo będziemy wdzięczni. Pani Gabrielo, bardzo serdecznie dziękuję za rozmowę. To był wielki zaszczyt i przyjemność, że mogłem się spotkać z Panią chociażby w takich warunkach i bardzo serdecznie dziękuję za spotkanie i gratuluję wspaniałego spektaklu.